Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Today I'm going to lead you through 5 levels to master arpeggios on the fretboard and harmony. Ironically, through arpeggios, we can learn more about harmony than sometimes even with chords. And that's partly why some of the greatest improvisers are saxophone players or trumpet players in jazz and whatnot. And even with guitar and piano, it's sometimes people playing melodies where we really understand their brilliance. So arpeggios are very powerful, and we're going to start with the basics. By the end of this video, you should be able to understand not only how the Roman numerals and chords of a key progress, but also their extensions. It's very powerful. By the time we get to 9th arpeggios especially, you're going to see something pretty crazy on the fretboard. So if we have key of G, very good key for guitar, we're just going to say what's an arpeggio at its most basic. It's just 1, 3, 5. So the first level is to get that down. 1, 3, 5. You can do it in the next octave, right? There's the bass octave, here's the mid octave, here's the high octave. Notice it's the same pattern each time. I'm not going to focus on that individual aspect of arpeggios because we're actually going to be going much deeper into this position. So we don't have to move all around, but you can go up to higher octaves and repeat an arpeggio as long as you find that octave. All right, so really cool. 1, 3, 5 means we've played a major triad. But if we have the whole scale, we know that every note of this scale or of this key of G we can build an arpeggio from. And now we can learn what are the chords of the key, all 7 of them. Now I can understand songs, chord progressions, soloing, lead playing, etc. All right, now I'm going to play 1, 3, 5 by skipping a note each time in the scale. So I play the 5 notes of a scale if I want to refresh where I am, and I can play the 1, 3, 5. Now I go to the second note of the scale, which is A. I skip a note, and I get 1 flat 3, 5 of A minor. All right. You can think of it as the 2, 4, 6 if you want, of the key of G. Both are correct. All right, 1 flat 3, 5 is an A minor triad, or 2, 4, 6. Let's not get too hung up on the theory, and let's just start to play this stuff. So these are exercises you can try just warming up or playing every day and not thinking too much, and then uncover the theory later. Totally fine. All right, so we have 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished, and then back to 1 major. So that's the first level. We can keep going if we want. The problem is we have to switch positions, and so that's not really what we want to do right now. So we'll probably just stop here for now because we're going to get a lot deeper than this. So we've learned that 1, 4, 5 are major, and 2, 3, and 6 are minor, and 7 is diminished. Very powerful, because now I can see that in chords as well. Okay, so I'm going to be posting this lesson as a study guide and an exercise tab on the Patreon, patreon.com/mtguitar. Really appreciate your support. It helps the channel enormously, and a big thank you to all the patrons there. That's the first level. The second level is we're going to add the 7th. So if I say, well, what is the 7th? What's that all about? Well, if I see that the 1, 3, 5, notice we're skipping a note each time. If I skip another note, I get to the 7. And there's 3 types of 7th chords, 3 types of typical 7th chords. We have major 7th, minor 7th, and dominant 7th. I've also got diminished, but let's just even skip that because we have a half diminished 7th. So, okay, there's 4 types. All right. So 3 main types that we see a lot. So we have a major 7th. Now we have a minor 7th, another minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th. That means a flat 7. Okay, very important for blues and rock and all styles. Now we have minor 7th, now half diminished. That means we have a diminished 5th, but a natural, flat 7th, excuse me. Diminished 5th, minor 7th. Okay, now we have a major 7th again. So the exercise sounds like this. 3, 4. Pretty cool, right? You don't have to do it that fast. Now, that's the second level. And let's pause here and talk about some benefits of arpeggios. One benefit is just simply technique. If we don't even think about the theory at all, we just want to move our fingers. We want to get the notes rolling. And, oftentimes, if we're not playing, the theory just won't make sense. So we just need to start playing. So you can do this every day, excuse me, and really get your fingers moving. And I find that better than just sort of random finger exercises that don't really have a center and tonality. I've done these through classical exercises and whatnot, where you're just sort of moving your fingers in a uniform manner. But I like actual musical examples where I'm working inside of a key. All right, so that's level number 2. Level number 3 is we're going to descend because we're so close to that high octave, right? The next note after the 7 is 1. It's a half step away for major. So I want to descend so that I can really see the high octave and then go down, because music is not all about just notes going up, right? So now we have this. It's very beautiful and musical. Notice I'm going up and then down. Up, C major 7, down. So it would sound like this. I'm going too fast. Don't go that fast. I'm just trying to demonstrate this stuff so we can get it all down in one video. That's level 3. It's already a very, very powerful exercise. I was just working with one of my private students on this very thing, and it's a massive undertaking. So, you know, work on that and give it the time it needs. Take your time with it. All right, level 4. Now we're going to have some fun. This is where we're going to have some mind-bending stuff, if you're ready for it, all right? If we add the 9th, something very curious happens. What is the 9? Why are we calling it the 9? I thought you said there's only 7 notes, Mitch. Well, if we stack a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7, and we just keep stacking thirds, which means it's skipping a note basically, we wouldn't call it the 2 because it's on top of the 7. So now we think of the 7 as going to the root, which is 8, and then the next note is 9. So this is a G9, right? If I played like, I don't know, a chord like this, it's kind of rare in the bass like this, but that would be a G. How about this one? G major 9, right? Very beautiful. It'll sound better like, say, up here if I did it like this, right? Really nice. So G major 9, very nice chord. But beyond the chord, the arpeggio shows us 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, does this look familiar? This is a D triad. But wait a minute, I thought we were doing G major 9. Well, now we see something uncovered that's really powerful. We see that when we have a 9, we stack a triad on the 5th, and we see a D major. So we have both a G triad and a D triad. So I could play a D triad over a G chord. Very nice. Those are all D triads. Okay? So a D over G is literally just a G major 9. This is one of my favorite chords actually right here. Beautiful. It's a D triad over a G bass. Happens to be a G major 9 because we have the A, F sharp, and a D. And so that creates a D triad, and the A is the 9, the F sharp is the 7. So we're learning about the extensions and all the chords that you can play within a chord. It's kind of nuts because we can play multiple chords over one bass, right? So we have got a G and a D. Well, as you can probably tell, we're going to continue this journey, right, and uncover more. Here's an A minor 9. First up, it's just really fun to play this stuff. So now we have an A minor, and then what happens at the 5th? We get an E minor triad to create the A minor 9. It's an E minor on top. So I could play E minor over A. It sounds like this. Very nice. Right? Kind of sounds funky, right? That's because funk likes these 9th extensions. So A minor goes to E minor. All right, next is a little bit weird here. We have a B minor 9, but unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's just that it's a flat 9, and that is somewhat difficult to work with because a flat 9 is pretty tense. But here's a B minor, and then if we keep going, 7, flat 9. Why flat 9? Because it's in the key of G, and we have a C note. So what we have is an F sharp diminished triad on top of that B minor. Okay, no worries, we can still make good music with it, like this. pretty tense though, right? So it'd probably work in the key of G. Right, so I'm just showing you that, okay, that one's less useful. No problem, let's go to the C major. We have a really awesome C major 9 here. Look what happens, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Does that look familiar? That's a G triad. So we have a G triad over a C. So if I'm in C major, right, in fact this is just G major open right here. So we're seeing how a G can work over a C for if it's a C major 9. All right, next one's very important. It's dominant 7th, turns into a 9, a D9. Okay, so here we have a D triad and then an A minor triad. Interesting, we have a minor triad over a major triad. See that A minor here? So that means that an A minor works with a D7, which is why quite literally a D9 looks like an A minor triad over some D bass notes. Again, very nice for funk. Right, here's a D bass, open. There's a D triad to an A minor. Creates a D9. Okay, good, we're almost there. E minor now. Very beautiful. What do we have? We've got E minor and then a B minor. Okay, so B minor works over E minor. Okay, now if you've made it this far, let me just say something that you may have already noticed. If we even just do an E minor 7, we've got a G triad there. All right, that's something that I'm not focusing on that much because I think a lot of people are aware of that. If you're not, no problem. But if we just create, if we start from the 3rd of any arpeggio, we also have another triad. But let's focus on the 9th because I think that's what a lot of people maybe aren't up to that point yet, and that's really powerful stuff. Okay, so we've got 2 triads. We've got besides the E minor, we've got a G and a B minor. All right, next is a little bit confusing. We have to do a diminished flat 9, so pretty unuseful for most of our purposes, but let's still analyze it. We've got an F sharp diminished followed by a C triad. Okay, not really something we see a lot in music, but kind of interesting. So let's kind of move on from that. Now we have back to our 1 chord. Okay, and what did we say before? A D major is on top of that 1 chord. There's a D major arpeggio right there. So, now that we've broken down all that, I know it's a lot, let's play it and hear what it sounds like. 3, 4. Okay. All right, so that's level, what is it? Level 1, 2, 3, 4. That was level 4. The last level is, we've kind of gone to the edge here. We could keep going with extensions, but I think the 9 is a good place to sort of pause for a sec on the theory. Now we want to make some music. Of course, exercises are just that. They're not meant to be necessarily, you know, great statements of music by themselves. They're meant to be like workouts. So you can map things out and get your technique up, right? We want to map the fretboard out and we want to get our technique up. So we're doing both with this exercise. But now we want to make the exercise a bit more musical. This is the hardest level, level 5, and I'm going to be adding a melody on top. All right, so I worked this out. Let me see if I can remember it. It's right. So I'm going to play. That's on every arpeggio. That's the first one. Next one would be like this. Alright, so I'm going to be going 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 9 to the 3rd. Then back down. All right, let's see if I can play the whole thing, and then you'll hear it, then we'll talk about it. 3, 4. That is a workout, I will tell you that. So what's happening is, it's sort of a smorgasbord of all the arpeggios, right? We're going to go 1 chord, 7, complete the octave, 9, then circle back to the 3rd, just for a fun melody exercise, and then descend, and then do that for every arpeggio. So now the 2 chord, root, 9, circle back to the flat there. So we're getting an octave and a half almost, right? Now the 3 chord, flat 9, but the 3rd there, major 9 to the 3rd. See? It's kind of addicting to play. Okay. All right, so there's your 5 levels. I know it's a lot, so go through one at a time. Work your way through it slowly. This is meant to be digested over time and not to be all just one big session and then you're done. You kind of want to work over the next maybe couple weeks or months with this, and then come back to it every now and then after you've done a deep dive, and just keep reinforcing it. If anything, it can be a daily warm-up and exercise as well for your technique, and it'll work your ear and your theory as well. So I'm going to be posting this lesson as a study guide and an exercise tab on the Patreon, patreon.com/mtguitar. Really appreciate your support. It helps the channel enormously, and a big thank you to all the patrons there.